Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another great show here on Free Me Radio Podcast. So, I do want to thank everybody for your love and your support. I ask that the support please continue to come in by subscribing to the channel, supporting me through visiting my website at cominghomecoalition.com. On that, you can find a link to a store for merchandise that you may want to purchase. I'm also co-sponsored with Recover Your Life with Samantha Lindsay, so please check her out. Everything that she does in a previous episode. And moving forward, so man, I hope y'all are doing great today, man. It's Tuesday. Looking for this stimulus to come through and help a lot of people, man. I know there's a lot of stress and worry, angst going on, but I pray that you just tune in here for the little hour and some change and just relax your mind, man, and just get in touch with yourself and who you are. You know, every day we should be asking ourselves important questions like, am I progressing? Am I actually doing the things that I want to do? You know, am I moving each day forward to meet my goals? You know, we should be asking ourselves this every day, every morning. We have to start each day with a clear conscience and a clear mind of how we want that day to go, and we cannot allow any obstacles to deviate us from our planned day. And I think that's what happens is we end up getting deviated with distractions. And there's so many distractions out there, man. Distractions everywhere you turn. And those distractions are implemented on purpose to keep us unstabilized, to keep us not thinking about the things that we should be thinking about. It's funny, you know, the other day I was watching a documentary, man, on the fall of Rome. And I'm telling you, you can go watch it for yourself and you can make your own decision. But to me, it sounds like we're on a linear path. You know, towards the end of Rome, the distractions were great and many. You had the Colosseum with events going on 3 and 4 times a week, you know, and these events were gruesome and brutal, you know, man against animals, and the whole arena would be filled with tigers and bears and rhinoceroses and all kinds of just crazy animals in competition against men, gladiators, you know. And this was the entertainment, you know, and many other things. You had theater, you had just life as it was back then is the same that it is today. And throughout these distractions, it allowed the government to make decisions amongst itself without the citizen really understanding or paying attention, because all they cared about was these wondrous distractions in their lives. It kept their minds just occupied on rubbish and foolishness, you know. And I see a lot of that today. You know, I see that a lot of that today. Our minds are just so distracted on just things that we think that we need, and it's not focused on things that help us flourish as a human being, as a civilization. You know, we're worried about, you know, who's coming on next in WWF, UFC, boxing, sports. All of these things are just distractions to keep our minds off of important topics. And one of those important topics is truth of self. You know, we grow up through lives, you know, we grow up through life not understanding who we really are, and we're making decisions based upon that, based upon other people's perceptions of how we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to act. And we make decisions, life decisions, based upon that. Am I going to make my father happy, my mother happy, you know, so on and so forth. And it's never, is this going to make me happy? Because a lot of times that decision of, is this going to make me happy, rubs against people that we care about, and it rubs against their decisions or their opinions. So therefore, it's a very hard decision for us to make, as you'll see in the conversations that are coming up. So I spoke with 3 individuals, and it was really an eye-opening experience for me, because again, in my own arrogance and in my own ignorance, I guess I just assumed that people would want to talk to me and open up, because I know where my heart is at and I know where my intentions are at, and I really, really do want to help, you know, and I do care. So I guess I just assumed that people see that in me, and I quickly found out yesterday that that's not the case, you know. So upon approaching individuals, I found out that I'm being judged as well, you know, and I wasn't welcome. I found that I wasn't easily talked to, and these individuals let me know, you know. Of course, I would walk up and I would ask if they would, you know, spare a moment or however, but I guess I was walking up with my ego, expecting these people would talk to me. And they quickly let me know that that's not the case. So after about 4 or 5 attempts of this, I started to realize that it's not them, it's me. And it's how I'm approaching. And I'm approaching with the expectation that these people would want to talk to me. And that wasn't the case at all. And when I changed that, and it went, well, let me say, when I realized that, it humbled me and it changed my approach. And I was able to produce 3 very good conversations from 3 different people. And I think you'll get 3 different perspectives of how these individuals got to where they're at in life. So with that being said, you know, I'll let it play on and let you get into them. Please listen to what they have to say, how they say it, and just know that we're not far off from it. So hopefully my intention of this show is sort of a reality check for ourselves, to ask ourselves, like, how far away from this are we? So I won't take up any more of your time. I'll let the show continue. I'll do a wrap up in the end. Until then, stay blessed. I love you. Peace.
My name is Derrick.
Derrick?
Yeah.
Where you from, Derrick?
Tampa, Florida.
You born and raised right here in Tampa?
Yeah.
Let me put this a little closer. You soft spoken, so let me. So here in Tampa, like how?
What's up, man? All right.
Like how did you grow up?
Grew up. I grew up. I have a family. Myself. I'm lacking in myself. You know what I mean? So I gotta get myself together.
Right. How old are you?
31.
31?
Yeah.
So are you currently homeless?
Huh?
Are you currently homeless?
Yes.
So where you sleep at night?
On the streets.
But like particularly where? Do you have like a certain spot that you go to? You just lay down wherever you want to?
There's no particular spot.
And how do you feel Like, as far as how the general public looks at you or makes you feel on an everyday basis?
They would say something.
Huh?
They would say something.
Do you feel like you're constantly being judged?
Yes.
And I saw the anger in your face. I saw the anger in your face. So speak on that, man. How does a daily occurrence of judgment happen against you?
Keep push forward.
Just the way that people talk to you or look at you, or they just act like what? Like you don't exist?
No, not that. Just around. I'm not a violent guy. I understand what's going on. I just have to be able to have the mind, the energy to get it going.
Have you been to prison?
I've been to jail before.
You been to where?
I've been to jail.
You been to jail?
Yeah.
What you went to jail for?
Trespassing.
Trespassing?
Yeah. Trespassing.
So the trespassing was what? You looking for a place to sleep or?
Yeah, it was something like that.
See, and then this what happens too. Like, so if you're trying to find a place to sleep, and maybe you're trespassing on something that you don't know that you're trespassing on, you go to jail, and now you got a record, right?
Right.
So what's preventing you, what's stopping you, Derrick, from getting up right now and changing your life?
I guess the strength, actually.
The strength?
Yeah, the strength. And heck, money.
Money's always the problem, man.
No.
What kind of skills do you have?
Well, I've worked at McDonald's for 10 years, man. I've been slow paced moving.
Huh?
I worked at McDonald's for like 10 years. I've been slow paced moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not really trying to move too fast.
Are you on any kind of drugs? Do you have any kind of addictions whatsoever? This is about truth, man. It's about truth itself. My show, right, what I'm doing is when I talk to individuals, I want the individuals to know who they are, become, self-aware of who they are, and know that each individual is able to make a change that they want to, like you say. And you were honest, I think, when you said that. I think a lot of your problem is strength, right? So what is keeping you weak?
Keeping me weak? Strength. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess it's more. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
You never figured out why you haven't been able to get strong enough to be successful? Do you want to be successful?
Yeah.
And I think that's everybody wants to be successful, but me included. I'm not too far from you, Derrick.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here judging you or anybody else because I'm not too far from this. And this is my point, is I want people to understand that it doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you're in. You're only a couple bad decisions away from being where you're at.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And people don't realize that. They walk around because they have a fancy car or they have a lot of money in their pocket and they overlook you, not realizing that I could be Derrick. You see what I'm saying? And that's the awareness that I'm trying to bring. I don't want to disturb your day or your meal or anything,
right, man.
but it's all about teaching, right? Because do you like your lifestyle as it is right now?
No.
Do you have kids?
I have one kid, yeah.
You have one child?
Yeah.
Do you interact with this child?
No.
Does this child know that you exist?
Yeah.
Do you want to have like an inside feeling like, you know what, I want my child to know me and be proud of me and speak loud about their father?
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. And that's what made me change my life, That's what made me change my life from what I was doing. And now I'm out trying to reach individuals and just help society understand that when you're walking down the sidewalk and you pass Derrick, Derrick is a human being. Derrick wants to improve his life. Derrick just don't know how to improve his life, right?
Right.
And this human being isn't to be overlooked. Like, people walk up and down this sidewalk all day long and don't even see you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that hurts you, you know?
I'm not well known.
Huh?
I don't think I'm well known. I don't really think I'm well known.
You don't think you're what?
Well known. No one really knows me. I'm not well known.
But I'm not well known either, you know, and it's not about being well known. It's about being well known within yourself. You see what I'm saying? If I was to ask you, like, who is Derrick? What would you say Derrick is?
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying? You don't even know. How can you go through life and pick yourself up if you don't know who you are? And that's so many people in this life. You see? And that's how they end up being here, because they end up walking through life not knowing who they are or what they can do. See, the thing about it is, I know you got a gift in you, Derrick. You know how I know that?
No.
Because I have a gift in me. This gentleman right here has a gift in him. Everybody that you see has a gift. The only thing is that we haven't recognized that gift within ourselves. You see? And then we end up going through life.
Baby, you gotta share. You don't? Okay, baby, thank you.
You see what I'm saying? So we go through lives not knowing who we are and what we're capable of doing. You see? I know you got a talent about you, because God gave everybody a talent. He didn't make you no different than how he made me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
How bad is it out here on the streets, man? Like, do you see how it's getting worse? Is it getting better?
No, it's getting better.
It's getting better?
Yeah. From going down, it's getting better.
Huh?
From going down, it's getting better.
So the homelessness around in this area is getting better? Where did everybody get this food from?
Someone gave it to them.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So people just come by and drop food off? Or?
Yeah.
All right, Derrick, man. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you talking with me. I really do, man. You know, and like I say, I'm trying to bring awareness. I don't know if you got a phone or if you can ever listen to a podcast, you know, but all you have to do is look up and say, "Free Me." You just search "Free Me." That's the podcast. You can listen to yourself on the podcast, man. And I'm letting all my listeners know that, where do you usually reside at, Derrick? Is this where you usually hang out at?
Yeah.
So if some of my supporters wanted to come down Nebraska Avenue on the corner of Nebraska and Columbia and ask for Derrick, would they be able to find you? All right. I'm gonna tell them, remember the name, Coming Home Coalition. So if any of my supporters come and they say, you know what, Derrick, I heard you on Coming Home Coalition's podcast, and I want to help you. Would you take that help? You take it?
Depends on what the help is.
Well, of course, you know. But there are people that do want to help, and that's what I'm trying to do, is connect those people that want to help to the right people that need help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of the money just going to other people's pockets and never getting here. You know. So, man, thank you for your time, Derrick. Man, you take care of yourself. All right. So I'm gonna walk down here and see if I can get me a couple little more interviews. How's it going? All right, T. Hey, lady. You mind if I conversate with y'all for a little bit? I got a podcast. The name of the podcast is called Free Me. So what I'm doing is I work with I'm a founder of an organization called Coming Home Coalition. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to link mental health to the prison incarceration, the homelessness, drug addiction, and such. So what I'm doing today is I'm just talking with some folks out here, just trying to figure out what's going on, how it happened, how y'all got here. If y'all see things getting better, just a point of view. Y'all mind sharing?
What's the name of the podcast again?
Name of the podcast is Free Me. Free.
Free?
Like free?
Yeah, Free Me.
Free Me.
What's your name, by the way? What's your name again?
The name of the organization
Your
is,
name.
my name is Thomas.
Nice to meet you, Thomas.
Thomas?
My name is Reggie.
Reggie? Okay, Reggie.
And this is my better half, Nadia.
Nadia. Okay, okay. So how y'all doing?
To be honest, I'm grateful to be alive, to see another day.
Grateful to be alive to see another day?
Grateful, we're grateful. I'm saying grateful. I mean, be grateful. You gotta give thanks every day you wake. You know what I mean? That part, that confirmation. You know what I'm saying? Confirmation to keep moving. Confirmation to motivate somebody or encourage somebody or spread love, spread knowledge. I mean, it ain't about self all the time. You know? We all can see each other, but do we acknowledge each other? That part. I'm saying, you know? Yeah, I've been incarcerated.
You been incarcerated? How long you did?
3 years altogether, including county time.
County time?
Including county time. 2.5 years. I did 2.5 up the road, 6 months county.
So you just did state?
No, I did stay in prison.
Okay.
I did 6 months in county, and I did 2.5 up the road. And so I was smoking CI. You know, we speak about mental health and homelessness. Saying going on out here right now, you know, yeah, it touches, you know. But we have to realize to better each other. I mean, yeah, we all get bit sometimes, trying to help our child, feel me? But at the same time, let's keep in mind that, like I said, for every door you knock, for every 100 doors, they say you knock on 100 doors, right? 99 might not say nothing but that one door, feel me? You know, I'm just saying, even though, yeah, I said, we all fall down, but get up, you know? And now I can't say my situation is bad, because it could be worse.
How so?
I'm saying, because look at the news, cause it says, the other side of the state on fire. Everybody got to leave Colorado. So they have to leave Colorado. State order. That part. You know what I'm saying? And no saying, like, how many people are in tune with the world? But it's hard because what's going on. I'm saying what's going on today next to like our neighbors or our peers or people who meet, same as bus drivers. I'm saying, like, but again, in the homeless, right? Let people stereotype, you know. Before get to know the person, I'm saying, we get a background with the past, what they did, what they accomplished. I'm saying, what they do today, for tomorrow, better tomorrow. It ain't about us, about our future, our children.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm doing this right here, because that's what it's about, the children, right? You know, and this is what I'm trying to get people to understand, man, because America, to me, is completely asleep. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna say sleep. I say more so poison and blind, in a sense, due to the elites. You know what I'm saying?
The what?
Those who control the media. You know what I'm saying?
Who controls the media?
You know those who got the money. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say who, cause I don't know for sure.
But you know the media is controlled.
You can control that part.
You see what I'm saying?
And then by controlling the media, controlling the television, telling the lifestyle vision in a household, which is a box we watch all day. You feel me? That part too, mind control. You know what I'm saying? Everybody chasing.
What are they chasing?
I'm saying vanities. I'm saying everything around is vanity. They're chasing big. They're chasing big, saying everything shiny, wanna, you know.
The next big thing or the next trend. Like you see apps like TikTok and Snapchat and such. But to really touch on the subject, the mental health, I just came from wow. A moment of silence.
funeral procession.
You know, they were well loved.
So speak, mommy. Mental health.
So I just came from the psych ward at St. Joe's, did 5 days, and I just dealing with mental health issues and homelessness. It kind of just shows where the system is failing the people, because I've been out here since December of 2018, and I've just seen a bunch of people, you know, walking around looking lost, like they just don't know which way is up or down. And it's like, me, I have bipolar disorder, anxiety, and depression. So I'm on 4 different medications, and it's hard out here when you don't have the proper food. You may or may not have anything to drink to take your meds and stuff. And I just appreciate places like Trinity Cafe, because without them volunteering and helping the people, it's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to take care of themselves even though they're out here, but it's still people who aren't. So I just see the breakdown. And also in the prison system, of course, mental health issues come about, you know, being locked in a cage. I hate the term correctional institution. It's not correcting anything, in my opinion. It's making the problem worse. You can't take a grown man and lock him in a cage and expect him to come home the same. So I just think that mental health plays into, you know, a lot of people get out, they may not be able to find work, or they may just be out of touch because everything's changed so drastically, and they end up turning to drugs to cope with it. Or they may have had a drug problem when they went in, and even though they done got clean, you know, they back on the outside. They see some people, and without that proper mental health treatment, they'll fall back into the same category and end up back where they came from.
And that's what I'm trying to bring awareness to, right? Is exactly what you said. And that's a perfect example, because the mental health is not being addressed, right? And amongst the black community, of course you can correct me if I'm wrong, but mental health is not something that y'all really take to. Like, y'all don't go to psychiatrists and psychologists to talk about your guys' problems.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, am I correct?
I wouldn't say that more so, because that's more due to they don't have insurance, or lack of resources, or they get shut down.
Or just lack of support, period, because that's a very big thing that I've experienced, is a strong support system. It doesn't matter if you're homeless, you know, if you're on drugs or whatever, a strong support system will get you through. But in my family, like, as far as my opinion on the black community, we don't. Because I was always told black people don't go to therapy, black people don't take medication. And, you know, that played a role in me not seeking treatment when I knew something was wrong, because of the stigma attached to it.
You see, and that's what I was talking about. You see?
So it's like, now the younger generation, we're learning to talk to someone as opposed to holding it all in. But also I noticed with black men, they don't ever want to talk when they experience traumas like child molestation or being raped in prison or anything of that nature. When it comes to being a man being sexually violated, they think, oh, people gonna think I'm gay, and that causes mental health issues within itself, because you don't want to be stigmatized for something that may have happened to you when you were younger and you couldn't help it. So I just think to lift the stigma, that's the biggest thing. Mental health, believe it or not, in my opinion, holds the same stigma as HIV. It's like, oh, if this person got bipolar disorder, nah, I don't want to bother with them. Stay away from them. But it's the same stigma. We just got to break those walls down and be like, it's not okay. Don't judge me. You know, I'm going through what I'm going through, and I'll get through it. I just need that support.
But see, what I'm trying to point out, right, is like the individual that's judging you, right, for your bipolar, may be bipolar themselves, but just not to the extent that you are. You see what I'm saying? They may just have a slight bipolarism about them. You see what I'm saying? And it's affecting their lives to make them make decisions that they don't understand that they're making. But they're not making them at the level that you made, per se, right? Because your levels are a little bit higher than theirs. And that's what I'm trying to point out, is that what we do every day is we make emotional decisions. You see what I'm saying? America is a bunch of people, right, that are walking around making emotional decisions every day, all day long, without really thinking about what's going into this decision, right? We're reactive. So something happens and we react to what just happened emotionally, and it lands us in jail, on addictions, and so on and so forth, right? Into homelessness, things of that nature. And this is what I'm trying to point out, is that, like I spoke to, I believe his name was Derrick down there. So it's like I spoke to Derrick, right? The thing of it is that, like the lady said, man, I mean, she said it point on. Because of the stigma of mental health, there's a fear that this person can't go talk to somebody, and they don't know how to deal with what happened with them. So they think that they're getting over this, right? As time goes on, they think that they're getting over this trauma that happened to them, whatever it was. Because as time goes on, we think about it less and less and less. We put it like away, but it never really goes away. You see what I'm saying? And now, because of that occurrence, because we really truly don't understand how that trauma occurred or why it occurred, we're making decisions for the rest of our lives based on that trauma without even knowing it. You see what I'm saying? So say if I'm walking down a dark alley, right, and I get raped as a kid. Let's say I'm a kid, I'm walking to the store, somebody snatch me, bring me in the alley, rape me. Now, as the lady said, me being a boy, my father's a man's man, right? And this is all I hear in my house all day is these gays, these fags, these gays, you see? And as a child now, I'm scared to say anything, because how am I gonna be looked at as a child? You see what I'm saying? But now, for the rest of my life, right, I have a fear of going by alleys. You understand what I'm saying? And it alters my life now. You see? And this is what I'm trying to get America to understand. Like, we have to recognize our own traumas within, right? So, are you guys homeless? And how did you get here?
Well, through my journey, when I got out of prison, I went to Orlando first. My cousin, and I decided to stay on the trip out there. I came to Tampa, and Tampa has more resources. You know what I mean? But I wasn't homeless for a while. I was renting a room, but there was slumlords. You know how that goes and shit, you feel me? So sometimes you might have setback for a major comeback, you know? You know what I'm saying? You gotta humble, you know what I'm saying? Build yourself up.
Well, let me ask you this here. How did you become homeless? Like, just tell me how you even got here as a kid, like some of your experiences.
My mom passed when I was 9.
Your mom passed when? Sorry to hear that.
9, so,
You and her were close?
you know, me and my little sister, yeah, of course. Same little baby, my first and last home, you know? But you know, that right there, that's a different topic. I don't want to get off, you know, I'm going to get on.
I respect that.
You know, but you know, like, then my grandma, like, my granddad go to work at 11 o'clock. I'm going to work at 2 o'clock, we're at the same restaurant. They'll come at 11 o'clock at night. So my dad, he was there, but he wasn't there to raise me. Saying to be a man, from a boy to a man, I'm saying. You know, to my friends' fathers, or, you know what I'm saying, learning, you know, through life.
You going down in the place? The church.
Every night.
Okay. How like you know?
You know what I'm saying? Like going through different churches, you know, trying to seek, you know, the Most High, you know. But my grandma always told me, I remember my mom, in San Jose City, New York. She always told me to read my Bible, go to church, and be good, you know. And I'm a believer, you know. And I'm still here. Thank God, you know.
How long have y'all been together?
Well, 2.5, almost 3 years, but we've known each other 3 years.
Oh yeah. So y'all go through your struggles every day together.
I won't say struggle. I won't say struggle, we're just together.
Isn't life struggling?
Nah. I won't call it struggle. Say struggle, that's a word.
Okay. Well, enlighten me, brother, because I feel like I'm struggling every day.
I says you feel that way. It's feeling.
That's right.
There's a difference between feeling and seeing and knowing.
Okay.
The thing is that the most important thing is to keep going no matter what. Because as my mom always says, the devil is very busy. And with us, we've had so many things to come against us and try to tear us apart out here, you know, and it just brings us back to each other. It brings us closer and we're stronger, and we always remember the love. You know, every day may be a struggle for some. That's how mental health is. You know, with me, I don't struggle with homelessness or the day-to-day, but I do struggle with emotional issues like not wanting to scream and yell all the time or trying to calm all that down. So sometimes a person's struggles may not always be external but internal. And that's another thing within the prison system, because you have so many people that's been through things before they got to prison, went to prison, never addressed them. Now they're going through things in prison, come home, and that's what creates the institutionalized individual. The dependence that they feel they have on the prison system because they know nothing else. So not every struggle can be seen. If you're not around a person every day, you don't know what they have going on the inside, because it's a lot of rich people that commit suicide, and on the outside looking in, you like, okay, well, they had all this money, they had all these cars, and they had this and that. Why did they do that? Only to find out, yeah, that's what they was doing to cover up the misery that they went through.
Amen.
And like Robin Williams, very gifted actor.
Okay.
I cried when he passed because I remember Aladdin. That movie and Mrs. Doubtfire are the two movies I'll always remember him for. The Genie and Mrs. Doubtfire. So I was like, he made people laugh for a living. But now, in retrospect, when I think about his suicide, it was to cover his own pain. That's why I always wanted to be a comedian, make people laugh, because I know what it feels like to cry. I know what it feels like
That's
to
what
hurt.
Robin Williams said. That's why he makes people laugh, because he don't want people to feel like him.
Yeah.
You see? And a lot of comedians feel that way as well. And I'm kind of that way as well, because I'm a torn individual myself, you see? And I got a lot of trials and tribulations that I have to face every day through my change of who I am, you see? But I always, every day I wake up, I try to make at least one person smile. I try to make one person feel good, right? Because I know that there's a lot of pain in the world, you see? And I feel like God gifted me the ability to hear people out and make people feel good, no matter what the circumstance or whatever the situation is, whether they're in prison or not. As the beautiful lady here says, right? Just because you're in prison, it's still, and you say too, it's still a mind thing. And I want my prisoners that are listening to the show to understand that as well. Just because you're in prison does not mean that you're in prison. There's people out here that are in prison far more greater than what that person is behind locked doors. It's a mindset. You see what I'm saying? It's a mindset. That's how I got through my ordeal. That's how a lot of people get through ordeals. As Nadia is saying, it's a mindset. But when that mind is altered and is not thinking, properly, what do we do?
Meditate. Take time for self. Meditate.
Meditate. You meditate?
Isolate self with nature,
Yeah. Outside, like, quiet, just when you're in the midst of your own solitude, even in prison, if you in the yard, find a quiet space, and you just think of all the things that you are grateful for, you have that next day. Yeah, I'm behind bars, but I have a new day to make new changes or to be a better person this day than I was yesterday. You know, as you said before, it's some people who are prisoners of their own minds. And that's the worst kind of prison to be in, because it's like, that's a life sentence you never want. You know what I'm saying? Like, to not know which way is up, or to constantly be paranoid, or constantly think people are after you, even if it may not be a threat. So the best thing is to look at every day as a new day to get it right, a new day to make a change, a new day to bless someone, even if it's with the words, God loves you, or I love you, or
You are loved.
good job, you are loved, just anything. Because in
Positive reinforcement.
prison, everything that they put forth in the prison system is to break you down, to tear you down. So my advice is just to live your life as if someone's watching. Always live your life as if someone's watching, and be the prime example of how to make it through. Be the prime example of how to remain strong even when odds are against you.
So you say you've been out here for 2 years.
Well, off and on, like 2017, and since December of 2018. So yeah, pretty much about 2 years.
And why are you out here? And why you decided not to progress?
Well, really,
Or if you're not, I'm not saying that you're not progressing, so I didn't mean it that way, but
well, really for me, the mental health, and also not being safe where I was, because I always had a place to stay, but I was living with family members who, they really don't care about the law. Like, they just too reckless for me. So it was more so a choice for my sanity and my safety, because I could keep myself safe out here apparently better than I can living with this person. So,
and this is family.
yeah.
When you talk about these things, I can see the pain in you, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, but like, what are you doing for you, Nadia?
Well, of course I'm seeking treatment. And
Where you seek treatment at?
well, I went to St. Joseph Hospital in Tampa, Florida, to their behavioral health center, and then Northside on Bruce B. Downs and 30th. No, it's Bruce B. Downs. Bruce B. Downs is 30th. I'm sorry. On Bruce B. Downs, next to the VA, is where I go to get my counseling services and my med management. And also Grace Point. I don't know the address. I just know it's on 22nd Street. They have a okay mental health facility, but I like Northside better. And then, like I said, my support system. So, and they just, right now, I'm about to go ahead, get on the day labor thing, and soon, hopefully.
Okay, so I got supporters and I got listeners. Now, are you guys always out here?
Not in this area, but just like all over Tampa.
Yeah.
Because he, my love, my better half, I've watched him. He saved lives out here.
How so?
Like, one man was, he was, what happened, babe, that night when he fell out? Yeah, we had a room and he fell out in the front of our doors. And, I remember I got scared, and at first I told my better half, I was like, I wouldn't answer the door because I don't know what's going on. So when we saw him, I told him, I was like, I was scared because I didn't want the police to think he had done anything to him. So he was like, well, babe, he tried waking him up. He wouldn't wake up. And when he finally called the police, they helped him. And they took him to the hospital, and a few days later he came back, and he thanks him every time he sees him.
The guy was ODing?
I have no idea. I think it was an overdose.
Overdose? How often do you see that out here in this area?
I've never seen an overdose, but with the new drug they call Tunchi, it's terrible. Like
Tunchi, that's K2?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's a new drug. But yeah, I've seen them fall asleep standing up. They passed out in the middle of the street, like just wherever they smoke. It's terrible.
And you can get that anywhere. That Tunchi K2. That's synthetic marijuana.
I just tell people I'd rather them smoke the real thing than that, because at least you could come down in a couple hours, eat something, and you'll be okay. You won't. But they just... And I think that's another thing, is teaching people how to cope with things. Because a lot of people, like I tell people, nobody wants to be addicted to anything.
But yet we're addicted to everything.
Yes. And the crazy thing is, I never knew food could be an addiction.
All right, how are you?
Hey. You all right? Yes. I never knew food could be an addiction. I used to, every time I get upset, I had to have cake. And I'm thinking to myself, I would get angry when I couldn't have cake. And I'm like, why am I like that? It's just food. I had a psychologist explain, sometimes people can be addicted to food. So I think having a positive way to cope, even if it's just going to the park or just walking your dog or playing with your cat or something, just positive reinforcement to say, hey, I don't have to do this drug to feel good. I don't have to go in this area to feel good. I don't have to drink that alcohol to feel good.
You see, on one of my shows, right, I ran across a young lady. She was 23, right? Her name is Mercedes, okay? And I picked her up around here somewhere. I could tell she had a bad day, so I asked if she needed help or whatnot. So I gave her a ride to the bus station. She was trying to get away from the situation, right? And she needed a ride to the bus station, so I gave her a ride to the bus station in exchange for her story, what was going on. So she a beautiful young girl, right? Beautiful young girl, mixed, strung out. Her mother was selling her for crack at 16. She's been on the street since then, prostituting herself, strung out on drugs, right? And had no idea where to go, what to do. And that's what I'm trying to bring awareness to around just in this area alone, Like you say, you've been out here for a couple years. Do you see it getting better or do you see it getting worse?
Well, to be honest, I don't see it getting better. I can see it getting worse. Put it that way.
You see it getting worse?
I can't say I'm still getting worse. I mean, we still get a lot of love, Still love out here, So
yeah.
These organizations that are out here doing this, do you see like organizations really helping, or only like a few of them?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Because you mentioned this place, I want to go in here and talk to somebody in here. But you vouch for this place?
Yes.
What's the name of it?
Trinity Cafe. They have one on Bush and 22nd in Tampa, and then this is the main location. But this place has been very good to us during the pandemic. When a lot of places closed down, they still remained open. They, follow the CDC guidelines and stuff. So they're very good people, and they genuinely care, because I've met some of the sweetest people that volunteer here, and one day when I get up the strength, I'm gonna volunteer as well to give back. So it's like, that's another thing. Volunteering is another way, a positive way to cope. If you've been through drug addiction, then volunteer at a rehab center, or if you struggle with mental illness, volunteer at some of these places to help. And I want to speak to the prisoners that's listening. The biggest thing is to support each other. Don't fight against each other. Don't hate each other. Because that's what they're expecting y'all to do. Act like animals because y'all in the cage. You have to mentally prepare yourself every day. And that's where the meditation comes in. In the morning time, when you first wake up, I'm strong.
No, first you give thanks.
Oh, my bad. I apologize.
Yeah, first you give thanks.
First, give thanks. Then you look yourself in the mirror. I'm strong. I'm confident. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. You know, just reinforce that to yourself and reinforce that to your brothers as well. Because a lot of people think, you know, just because y'all in prison, y'all forgot about. But it's all love out here for y'all. We looking for y'all to come out and do great things and be great. That's what y'all was put on the earth. Well, the first thing is talk about your problems. It don't matter what you go through. Do not hold it in, because that's the worst thing to do. Talk about your problems. Whatever you experience, it doesn't matter. Break down that wall, that stigma, to let people know, hey, I'm human. I've been through things. This is what I'm taking myself through, trying to get over. You know, and your story may just help someone else. That's the biggest thing. Always remember that it's someone that will be inspired, someone who will be touched, someone who will understand what you're going through. And also, don't be afraid to stand up for your fellow brother. If you know that they may not be able to help themselves or defend themselves, you stand up for each other. Always.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate y'all, man. It's been nothing but love. And y'all take care of yourself. How are y'all worried about COVID out here? You do what you can, or?
Yeah, we keep our essentials, the hand sanitizers, our gloves, and our masks. And so far, so good, because we don't interact with a lot of people neither. So we really do the whole social distancing thing. You know, when we can.
I see. As I've been walking, like everybody's spaced out, you know, 6, 8, 10 feet, you know, as they sit or whatnot. So I mean, that's good, man. That's good. So, man, I thank y'all so much, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all take care. It's been a blessing. Take care.
Wow. So I hope that put things into perspective for my listeners, you know. Every day we take things for granted, you know. I know it put a lot of things in perspective for me, and I'm a person that doesn't have much. And as I said to Derrick, you know, I'm not too far from where he's at, you know, just a couple bad decisions. And I've made those decisions, and thank God I've had a pretty good support system to help me, you know, when I've fallen. As Nadia said, you know, we need good support systems. A lot of times in life, we have support systems, and maybe we're not ready for those support systems. And we burn a lot of those bridges because we don't want, at the particular time, this positive reinforcement. So we burn those bridges because it hurts us to hear the truth at times. So we try to expel the truth as far away from us as possible. And that's how we end up in the positions that we're in, you know. Which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, to try to bring truth into people's lives, and including my own, you know. Sometimes I think I know what's going on, and I really don't. And this episode was a perfect example. You know, I sit in my home, on my couch, I drive my car, I put on my nice clothes. You know, I'm able to take a hot shower every day. I'm able to drink water whenever I want. I'm able to open my fridge and pull food out. And we take these things for granted, you know. These three individuals, the only things that they have are the things that they carry with them. And Derrick, I didn't really see anything with him at all. So I don't know if he has, items stashed here or there. Only he knows, In the case of Reggie and Nadia, they had a few little duffel bags. I noticed that Nadia was writing. She had a notepad. Nadia was a very interesting person to me because this is a person that struck me as an individual that could manage a restaurant. She could be a healthcare worker. There's many things that she could be. She's a very intelligent person. She's articulate, she's well-spoken, and you could tell that she cares. Man, in Nadia, I saw a lot of emotion in her eyes, and especially when she was talking about mental health. And I could tell that this is debilitating Nadia's decision-making, and she knows that, So I really think Nadia is going to be okay once she understands what her true obstacles are, because I think that Nadia does want a good life. I think Nadia has goals. She didn't share them, but I think that she has goals and aspirations that she wants to achieve. I really see that in her. Reggie, I think Reggie has his own issues, and as Nadia said, when it comes to black men, they're not so quick to talk about these issues. And Reggie exemplified that when, he touched lightly on his mother, and when he spoke on her, I could tell there was pain there, and he quickly dismissed that and, said that he didn't want to go down that road, which is exactly what Nadia was exemplifying. And we hold these things and we don't want to express these things because of just personal perceptions that we've picked up throughout our experiences, throughout our lives. But Reggie needs to touch on that with somebody. If he hasn't already, maybe him and Nadia are working that out. I'm glad that Reggie is with Nadia because he seems to be her protector. And she seems to be comfortable around him. So, in life we all need companionship, and we find this companionship, and who knows where. It's just whether this companionship is positive or negative for me. Again, we have to ask ourselves these questions. So, like my listeners, what did you hear? What did you experience? What did this make you feel? You can leave comments on the voice message through the link that is supplied through Anchor. But talk to me. Let me know. Did this put things in perspective for you? How do you feel about homelessness? How do you feel about these three individuals? How do you think these three individuals could change their lives and make them better? In the case of Derrick understands that it's him. He understands that he needs to just get up and start doing it. And what's stopping Derrick from doing that, only he knows. And I tried to get that out of him, but he really didn't want to touch it. But he definitely appeared high to me. I guess my assumptions are, his inability to think clearly, I guess, and he seemed confused and disoriented, but he was cognizant of what I was saying. But to me, it just looked like his motor skills was just burnt out, maybe, And these three individuals were one of many. As you heard, there was a food line there at the place, and so there was individuals all over. As I started striking conversation with Reggie and Nadia, there were a couple people that would come around and they would maybe just stand by, but you could tell that they had an ear. They were just curious, curious what I was doing there, what I was asking, and why I was talking to these two individuals. So, when you think that life is tough and you think that life is hard, we just have to take a step back and we have to look at what we really have. What are we attached to that's burdening us, that's holding us down, that's affecting us emotionally in a negative light? What are we bound to that's affecting us in this way? What are our distractions? What in our daily lives is distracting us and keeping us focused on what we shouldn't be focused on, rather than what we should be focused on? So these are questions that we have to ask ourselves in the event. Sometimes we don't think about them because they're emotional feelings that come up at certain times throughout the day. And we just have to be cognizant of that, so that when it does occur, we can stop and we can say, how important is this to my life that I'm allowing it to affect me negatively every day, every week, every month, however so many times it does. So it's just being awake to ourselves. Because as I'm driving around in my car, I pass homeless people every day, and I notice them and I think about them, but I don't say to myself, like, this could be me, right? I don't look at the possibility that this could happen to me. And it's funny because I saw a video on Facebook not too long ago, and I don't know if I posted it to my site or not, but in the video it shows a white dude in a like a mall, in a department store. So he's shopping or whatnot, and then these officers come up to approach him to arrest him. Now you could tell this is a very well-educated, clean-cut white man, and I would probably estimate something like bankerish, executive, something of that nature, So I'm guessing that just by his actions with the police and the encounter, that he's never been in trouble before, and that this is probably white collar crime that he's being arrested for. So anyhow, so he's approached, and you could tell right away from his demeanor that he don't even understand what's going on, right? He's completely out of his element. And of course, he becomes defensive, he becomes apprehensive, and he brings his arms close to his body as they start approaching him to handcuff him. So, of course, he's resistant because he don't want to accept what's happening. And within doing so, they wrestle him to the ground, and they're trying to wrestle the arms away from this man. You could tell that he's panicking. And within that panic, he yells, "You guys are treating me like I'm a black man." And when I heard that, it's these incidents that put things into perspective for me when I see them. And the first thing I thought, I was like, wow, here goes an individual that obviously was doing something wrong, at least for the police to wrestle the man down, And I'm sure by that statement alone, this man has sat in his home and watched the news and seen these things on news, and it wasn't, it wasn't a racial thing to me. I didn't take it as a racial thing like he was degrading black people. It was that he separated himself, which is the racist aspect of it. But, you know, he separated himself into a class where he thought he felt safe from that type of interaction ever happening to him. He never imagined in a million years that he would be treated, quote unquote, like a black man. And we do this every day, you know. Yeah, for the most part, you know, when you're driving around and you look at a homeless person, or you look at a junkie, somebody that's strung out on addiction of some sort, or a child molester, a pedophile, you know, things of these natures, you know, as I said in a previous show, you know, that we all have deviances of some sort, you know, and we look at and we judge other people according to their deviances compared to ours, right? So even though that I may have some sort of, I don't want to say a debilitating deviance, right? Because to me, debilitating deviances gets into the realm of pedophilia and high crime, just unexplainable crimes, you know. And so your deviancy may not be debilitating, but it consumes a lot of your thought, and it consumes a lot of your time each day, let's just say. But now this individual may look upon somebody that has a debilitating deviancy and judge that person because his is sicker than mine. Like, yeah, I know I watch porn 3 hours a day, but like this guy is way past that, you know? But what we're not realizing is the man that's way past that with the debilitating disease, let's call it, was where this individual is at now, who's judging him, if that makes sense. So it's like you don't just wake up one day sticking on pedophilia. You know, I don't imagine, and again, please, I don't know how these thoughts occur. I don't know how. To me, it's I've always been intrigued by that mindset, you know, in a sense, to where it's just something I don't understand, and I guess I want to understand it, you know, for my own knowledge, you know, for my own education. So I'm only assuming, I say that to say that I'm only assuming now, right, that this type of mindset isn't something that a person just wakes up to one day. Like, a person just doesn't wake up one day from a normal mindset and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go kidnap a child and do whatever to this child, right? So this, to my understanding and my belief, is a gradual process of unchecked deviancies within us that continue to build and grow, right? And that's something that we have to be cognizant of, because while we're sitting here judging the next person for his deviancy, we have to ask ourselves, like, am I capable of becoming that type of person? You know? So again, it's always being honest with ourselves, coming back and checking ourselves, and not judging the person and looking down on this person, but just asking ourselves, am I capable of becoming this person? And like I've mentioned before, you know, when you ask your brain a question, it's going to give you an answer. So am I capable of becoming this person? Well, this person lives a drug addicted life, right? And this person is out here doing very, very odd things for these drugs, right? So, do I have any addictions that would cause me to lose control of my life? These are questions we have to ask ourselves. Because I think that mental instability is rampant amongst a lot of us, and I believe that because it's just a small trace, it's not far on the spectrum to where it's obvious, right? But it's far enough on the spectrum to affect decisions that we're making throughout each day. And we're making these decisions under maybe false pretenses, false education maybe. Or maybe it's that this mental instability is allowing us to make emotional decisions without realizing we're making emotional decisions. Rational, irrational, emotional decisions. Reactive. So again, the point of my long-windedness here, is to just always remain self-centered within yourself and understand that these people that we see every day is a reminder of what we do have and what we should be appreciative for and thankful for. As Reggie pointed out, And again, I could sit in my high horse and I could look down and say, you know what, man, I would not want to live like this, right? But again, and I'm not saying that Reggie and Nadia are content with their position, but as you heard Nadia say, she feels safer where she's at than she does in her own home. That's important to know. Again, like what is going on inside of homes that we don't understand, we don't know. I've heard many stories of uncles, brothers babysitting, family because the parents are going out of town, and yeah, we could leave our young kids with their uncle, of course. You don't even think twice about that. But again, deviancies, secret hidden deviancies that we are unaware of. So there's many cases of uncles, brothers, aunts in sexual molestation. A large percentage of molestation comes within the family. It comes from someone that you know. And a lot of people they don't realize that, because again, going back to the top of the subject, is distractions. These distractions, we're distracted constantly and we're not thinking clearly. And the only one that pays the price is our children. Does that resonate with anyone out there, what Nadia said? She feels safer on the street, surrounded by drug addicts and who knows what else, than she does in her own home. So, going back to my original point, like, who am I to sit on my high horse and say, like, you could be doing better, So today was a very humbling day for me, man, and it did put things in perspective for me. And today really helped me grow. And I hope my three guests, if they are able to catch the show, I do thank you guys. Thank you tremendously. You guys always be in my thoughts and prayers moving forward, you know. And if I see you guys out and about and I am doing a little bit better than what I am, I'm gonna extend a hand for you guys, you know. Because in all three of you guys, I saw that you want to be better and you want to do good for yourselves. There's just challenges that you haven't figured out how to overcome. So I do want to be part of that, you know. I did look up some statistics on Hillsborough County's homeless, and it did drop 12% in the last year. The homelessness did drop 12%. I don't know where they went. I don't know how they're counting them. I did read an article somewhere that they actually sent out, I think it was 500 people throughout the county to count, do a census on homeless. And they came up, I believe it was 1,600. I think 1,654, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. Which is down 12% from the earlier year. And the whole state is down. Now, what's happening, I have no idea where they're going. I have no idea. I don't know if this is just a fabricated number. You know, I do understand that things do get fabricated at times to look a certain way. You know, so... but as you heard, the three of them, you know, Nadia and Reggie were a little hesitant, but they didn't say. I was expecting them to be like, no, it's gotten worse. It's gotten bad out here. But neither one said that. You know, they were kind of streamlined about it. They were down the middle. And Derrick was adamant. And I asked him a couple times, and he's like, no, it's better. So that is a good thing. Hopefully, if that's an honest report, I'm gonna try to get on the show here sooner or later. I've actually reached out. She reached back, so I just have to set up an appointment with the lady from Feeding Tampa Bay. So I will have a show with her concerning how all of the food is distributed. I believe, forgive me, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Nadia said it a couple times, but that place there is a distribution center for Feeding Tampa Bay. So hopefully we can get her on, and a couple other people I'm trying to get onto the show. So again, I love each and every one of y'all, and just like I told Derrick, you know, we have to find that star player within us. We have to find what our one true talent is, you know, and we have to expound on that. And a lot of times, that one true talent is displayed as we're a young child, you know, and it's as we're a young child, it's whatever we kind of just adapted to. You know, our parents would have to show us, but see, a lot of times as children and as parents, we get deviated from the past. Our parents want us to, you know, be a lawyer, whatever, and our natural talent is therefore misguided. It's forgotten about. And a lot of times through our lives, it'll come to us at some times. Maybe you're just on the phone and you like doodling all the time, and maybe you're an artist and don't even know it, and you're stuck in a cubicle and your life is shit and you can't understand why, because this isn't your life. So, you know, just check ourselves, man. Just check ourselves every day and just find out who we are. Meet yourself for the first time. Do you love the person that you sleep next to truly? Do you love yourself truly? You know? So, again, the point of all of this is education, finding out who we truly are as a human being so that we can raise our children appropriately, you know, by the laws of the universe, the laws of life, so that our children can come up less confused and we can have less mental instability and mental disability, and we can start getting our guys out of prisons and start helping rebuild as one community for one nation. That's the goal for me. You know, to just get everybody to realize that government wants division. Everything that you see on the news, everything that you see that the FCC controls is about division. You always have to remember that. Because a nation divided is a nation conquered. They have to keep us divided. So we have to come together as one. We have to stop looking at the next person and judging that person based on our experiences in our lives, and know that this person is a free will thinking person who has experienced their own lives and made their own decisions. And because we don't understand or agree with those, that does not mean that we have any right to separate this person from ourselves. But that's a whole nother show for a whole nother time. I'm gonna get into all that. But for now, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I really do. I appreciate the support. Like I said, check me out. You know, make sure that I'm supported. And you guys just remain calm, remain peaceful. When you know that you're in your emotions, let the emotions pass and then make a sound decision. Myself included, I have to do the same thing. So while y'all are doing that, trust me, I'm doing it with you. So until the next time, I love y'all. Please be safe and wear your mask.